Well, it's been a while since we've been back on the mics. I'm here with Britannica Ben McCown, the doctor of physical therapy, the most intelligent man in the entire Upper Peninsula of Michigan and the surrounding states, even Canada, even North America. We're gonna go. This is a guy who is the sharpest mind when it comes to diagnosing and telling us the real about injuries. And of course, we're sponsored. I'm the legendary ball knower, whatever. You know who I am. You see my face enough now to maybe where I don't have to introduce myself. But I do want to tell you that this is brought to you by Profit. This broadcast, this live, whatever you want to say, is brought to you by ProfitX. ProfitX is a sports prediction app where you can make parlays and games against your friends. And so you're playing against your friends instead of a sports book and the juice. So go download ProfitX in the Apple Play Store or whatever, the Google Play Store, the App Store. I don't have an Apple, so I don't know what you guys use. So yeah, pardon me. Download ProfitX today. Now we're here to talk injuries, start sits, all that good stuff. How we doing today, Britannica Ben?
I'm doing good. We got some recent news, injury news that we're going to be talking about here soon that I'm pretty excited about. So, ready to just dive into it, man. This is the first weekend of pro tackle football, as you've been saying, and it's so exciting just to see those fantasy lineups get lit up.
I cannot. I absolutely cannot wait. I am pumped. So where do you want to start, Ben? Where are we gonna go? What injuries are we gonna talk about?
Let's
I'm ready
talk
for
about
you
the
to
big
drop
one.
them out. Yes.
I think I want to lead this off with the big one that we just found out news about, which is CMC officially active for today's roster and playing in today's game against the Seahawks.
Yeah. I'm glad that this only has my shoulders up because my pants are off and I am excited about having CMC. Like I've been just playing the game really, really, really just hoping against hope that he stays healthy and everything goes smooth. And we're just gonna get 17 games and an RB1 finish from CMC. And this makes me super happy. And this is a 325 kickoff. So your options are really limited. You have to go
Mm-hmm.
scramble. If we were gonna have to play this game, you would be scrambling to pick up like a Kyle Monangai or Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason aren't going to be available. Anything in that Monday night game, 325, like that, your options are so limited by these 325 kickoffs. So not having to worry about CMC and now just having to sweat every single time that he gets tackled or is slow to get up or just not just listen. I've owned CMC before. I've been a participant in this hamster race. So I'm with you. I feel everyone's pain. Don't think that I'm not empathizing with you, but yeah, knowing that we're gonna have him go into the game and we're not gonna have to work, we're not gonna have to worry about that just makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah, I think the 49ers did us a solid by being able to share this prior to the 1 o'clock games, obviously, right? Because
Yes.
in my one league that I have CMC on a championship contending roster, I do have the backup option of Aaron Jones. But if I didn't, I would definitely feel a lot more scared about what it would have been if he would have gone questionable past 1 o'clock.
Yeah. No, I mean it's once you get into the 1 o'clock slate, it's just not going to do you any good, man. Like I don't really understand. Like they really, like you said, they really did us a solid. But I'm sitting here scrolling because I wanted to start at the top of the show sheet
Yeah.
with Darnell Mooney and
Mm.
seeing, I wanted to make sure he was active. I haven't had a chance. We just hopped off the live. I know he was questionable with the shoulder injury. I mean, that's something that's been bothering him since camp. Do you think that that's going to hinder him today? Like I said, I want as many pieces in that Bucks Falcons game as humanly possible. And this is a guy who was the wide receiver, I believe the wide receiver 2 on the week in one of the times that he played the Buccaneers in 2024.
Now, let me get this straight, Chef, because I don't have the schedule up in front of me, but it is one of the early, like the 1 o'clock games. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
my favorite 1 o'clock game today.
Yeah, because at least from when I was looking into the injury reports and things like that, and what the Falcons were saying it was not very clear, and they kept a lot of information close to the vest because I mean they even stated that they would keep it a last minute decision up until game time. Basically, Darnell Mooney had missed all of training camp and, had basically made limited practice this last week because of a undisclosed shoulder injury. Now, there are speculations online that, they think that he suffered a similar injury to what Xavier Worthy suffered, possibly, not as severe or serious, but he's still listed questionable, and I don't feel comfortable at all with him going into potentially a starting flex spot, because I could see it being that they could rule him out last second, and then you have to make a quick change.
Yeah, like I don't know that he's going to assume a full route share or snap share. Like I can't feel confident, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because this is, like I said, this is a game that 49 point over on per profit X. This is a game that I want as many pieces as humanly possible. So with him potentially being limited or not available, do you think that this is a bump for a guy like Kyle Pitts? I know it's not ideal. Here we just got the update from Sleeper. Mooney is out.
Yep.
Yeah, Mooney is out. So just interesting news there. On the flip side,
thanks for that, Dustin.
Yeah, really appreciate that, by the way. On the flip side, we've got the Bucks, who have a list of inactives here. Chris Godwin, Josh Williams, rookie Benjamin Morrison, Kendall Vildor, a corner, another corner or DB, and Christian Izien, all pro on both sides. Tristan Wirfs, and my favorite dynasty tight end stash in Devin Colt. Those are all inactive for today's game. So nothing really fantasy relevant. We knew that Chris Godwin probably wasn't going to be active at all, at least for the first couple of weeks. When the reports came out about his the second procedure and how he's recovering from that. So do you want to spend a little time talking about like what your expectations are as far as return to performance for Chris Godwin?
Yeah, I think, most of the offseason, especially finding out the news about the second surgery, which was a debridement of the ankle to clean up some loose hanging bodies that were kind of hanging out there. To me, I really thought he was going to end up on the season starting on the pup. He did not, so they expect that he's going to probably start week 2 or week 3. But even then, I don't know that I feel comfortable with Chris Godwin starting on my roster. I mean, depending on the options you have, you might have to start him on your roster, but that he won't really hit his stride until after the first quarter of the season.
Yeah, I mean that's a I mean, it's wheels up. It's wheels up for Emeka Egbuka. They've got, I mean, just there's a clear runway where in April we were speculating as to whether or not you would have him kind of just being a tertiary role or forcing Jalen McMillan. Jalen McMillan currently on IR with a neck injury. So it really just looks like it's going to be the running backs, Emeka Egbuka and Mike Evans as the primary targets for Baker Mayfield in what we think is going to be a shootout of a game. Like I said, the Profit X over under currently set at 49. So I think that is, I mean, that's a game that I just want as much action as humanly possible.
Yeah.
So, but we can move on to the next game. We've got Dolphins at Colts, and there's no notable injuries that we really need to be concerned about. Excuse me. Darren Waller and Jalen Wright are both out. They were ruled out yesterday. The Dolphins did sign Greg Dulcich, my sweet prince, sweet D. And but he's probably not going to be fantasy relevant at all. Devon Achane and Tyreek Hill are both expected to play. What are your thoughts about the calf injury, and what should we be tempering our expectations at all regarding Devon Achane and his potential risk for re-injury today?
Yeah, with Achane, you have to go into it just like you would with CMC, right? You drafted him to be a starter on your roster and win you leagues, but you are going to take the risk that he might get pulled out in the second half because he flares his calf up, and then you're having to see Ollie Gordon take over in the second half. So, I mean, you're going to start him, but yeah, I don't really. If he's on your roster, you probably don't have much better options than when you have a potential RB1 on your team. I hope that he makes it through the full game. There hasn't been as much kind of discourse around Achane's calf, I'd say, as there was around CMC. But there's definitely been a growing need for Ollie Gordon potentially as the cuff for Achane.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a necessary move that you got to make, and we're lockstep on that. If you have CMC, you need to get Brian Robinson or Isaac Guerrero. If you have Devon Achane, you need to get Ollie Gordon, which they were so kind to clear that up for us because Jalen Wright, besides being not showing that he's good on an NFL American tackle football field, Ollie Gordon has shown promise that he might be more of the 2023 Doak Walker Award winner and the direct handcuff to Devon Achane. But we can move on to the next game that I think we talked about before the broadcast went live. Excuse me. The Panthers at the Jaguars. So this one is really, I mean, just the appeal from a fantasy perspective is weird because you don't typically think about the Panthers as having a ton of great options. They don't have a ton of injuries right now. The only issue that they're really dealing with is Ike Ekwonu, their left tackle, being doubtful with an illness. I think he's been ruled out now, and I mean that's pretty much it. The Jaguars don't have any notable players out. Travis Hunter was limited by a shoulder or an upper body injury, but he's been full go. Teteroa McMillan, the big pineapple, was also limited or held out of practice early with a hamstring. It's all systems go there. So let's just talk real quick about what what your expectations are as far as what you're looking for from Travis Hunter today.
Yeah, we were talking pre-show, Chev, that at this point we just want to kind of let him sit on our bench and wait and see if we have the ability to, which I do in a couple rosters, and because we just don't know. Yeah, he's getting the full snaps at wide receiver today, but what does that look like? I don't know if I feel as safe as with that as far as somebody like a Buka or I think I got a different start sit question yesterday about Travis Hunter. But if I have the option to, I want to try and just sit Travis Hunter and see how today goes.
Yeah, I mean that's basically like taking a Molotov cocktail and just throwing it into the chat because people are going to be really upset with us for not being like Travis Hunter is the wide receiver one and he's the greatest of all time. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, this is not any shade towards Travis Hunter. This is more towards the incels who think that they've diagnosed his exact usage pattern before ever taking a snap on an NFL field. But we can move on to the Patriots at Raiders or Raiders at Patriots. Excuse me. The Raiders don't have any notable injuries. The Patriots are going to be missing their lockdown corner in Christian Gonzalez, and Will Campbell will be active today. He was previously listed as questionable with an ankle injury. So, I'm really excited to see the Mike Vrabel era get underway in New England. I think they're going to play a really rough and tough brand of football. Is there anything in particular you're looking forward to from this game today?
I mean, with Christian Gonzalez out, does that prop up Jacoby Myers? Or who does that really benefit in your opinion?
I think it probably benefits Jacoby Myers quite a bit, but it also would probably benefit the rookie Dante Thornton.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I'm right
I
there
don't
with
know.
you.
I mean, Jacoby can line up outside and inside, and he's one of the most solid guys. So he's going to be the primary receiving target. Brock Bowers obviously is going to dominate, and he lined up in the slot about 56% of the time last year. So anxious to see if that holds or if he's more used in line, but just going out on releases or checking releases and stuff like that. So I think it probably it benefits Jacoby Myers the most, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dante Thornton was able to sneak by Carlton Davis, who would be functioning as their number one corner today.
I'm also interested in seeing how the play calling goes, if it's more heavy towards the run, or if they do decide to throw it up against the Patriots secondary.
Yeah, that's really interesting because Chip Kelly's run games are always phenomenal. Like the worst that they've ever finished is 14th, and that was with being no worse than ninth in Philly, and then 1 year in San Francisco where they were just kind of trying to figure it out post Jim Harbaugh. and it was 14th with Carlos Hyde toting the mail for him. So
We saw
interested to
what it
see
looked
how
like at
that.
Ohio State. So.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it seems as though
Speaking
he's
of
evolved a
which,
bit.
we get Travion Henderson today.
Yes,
That is
yes. I wasn't
that
going to
is going
talk
to
about
be
it.
an interesting watch as well.
Yeah. So I guess, just talking fantasy a little bit, like, do you have any aggressive expectations? Do you think that we're going to get, a Travion Henderson early breakout game, or do you think that they will spread the carries more evenly and the vet Ramondre gets the ball and gets way more run than we're thinking?
I honestly do think Ramondre probably gets a little bit more run than we're thinking. And I just want to be careful with Travion Henderson week 1. Kind of similar to Travis Hunter, like we just talked about, where it's like we just want to see the usage first before we start to really invest.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm 100% with you here. Let's answer a couple of these real quick. Yeah, Pollard or Connor. I'm going James Conner. I mean, that
James
I
Conner.
don't know how much improved that Saints run defense is going to be. And they were absolutely dog water against the run last year. Denver's solid on all three levels, so I can't bring myself to be like, oh man, yeah, I'm rolling with Pollard. I'm a Titans fan too, and I've known Tony Pollard since he was a little kid. So I it's real. I'm objectively yes.
Yeah, I feel like Connor is one of the great guys this week for DFS.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a smash play for DFS. And if you wanted to go super contrarian, you could get a really cheap Trey Benson if you wanted to do a little, arbitrage against the field. But let's move on to the next game in the 1 o'clock slate. I mean, I realize that we're not gonna have a ton of one. It's week 1, so there's not a ton of injuries to note. I mean, there's no notable injuries in the Steelers Jets game. I mean, that's just. I mean, I feel like that's going to be just a rock fight. You know, like two blind people throwing rocks at each other, and just maybe one of them hits, and we get some points today. I don't. I can't. I cannot imagine being less excited for an offensive output than I am for the Steelers at Jets today.
I think it's the lowest over under for a week 1 game in like 5 years.
39 and a half, which currently, like I said, it's currently set at 39 and a half. I'm going to check Profit X real quick. Yeah, 38 is where it landed. It's been bet down to 38. So that's just a level of gross that I don't even
And I still think the Steelers take it.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You have a team that wins a lot of games they shouldn't win, and then you have a team that never wins games that they should win. So when those things combine, one outcome feels pretty certain, but what do I know? Let's move on. Let's see. We've got Cardinals at Saints. There's only one notable injury. Offensive lineman Will Hernandez is out for the Cardinals. For the Saints, you've got Trevor Penning, who's been moved to right guard, and Chase Young, noted pass rusher, who is now on his third team. They're
Just
both
helps
out.
Connor.
Say it again.
Just helps Connor.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's gonna be way. I feel like that's gonna be way more impactful for the Arizona run game. We just took that question about Pollard or James Conner, and it's pretty comfortably James Conner for me. Just to reiterate that again. But let's go. Let's see if we got Giants at Commanders. Franchise left tackle, $100 million left tackle Andrew Thomas is out. The Commanders have no notable injuries. What is your outlook? Okay, just from a fantasy perspective, what is your outlook for Malik Neighbors today? He's been kind of out of practice with back injuries, toe injuries. Is there any sort of concern for his, week to week performance dealing with what seem to be like these nagging injuries? Or do you think that this is just kind of a coy play by the organization to just kind of keep him on the radar as somebody who could be hurt?
I think it's keeping it on the radar for sure. I think it's going to be somebody who I wouldn't be surprised if you see missed practice reports for Wednesday, sometimes maybe even Thursday, but then he goes into a limit practice on Friday. And then you're asking yourself the question, do I need to have a contingency plan? But obviously, if Malik Neighbors is playing, he's got to be in your lineup.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing is like you know he's not listed on the injury report, but I mean going back to training camp, it was a toe that he's managed since college. It was a
Yeah.
shoulder. It was a back injury. It was a like I just want this dude to stay healthy because I feel like
Because I think we talked about it in the offseason. I think the nagging problem for him has been the toe. It's been
yes,
continued to be the piece that has kept him out with training camp or OTAs. So I think that's the one that I'm more concerned about more than the back or shoulder. But I just it's so tough because he's got to start in your lineup if you get that active
yeah.
listing.
I mean you took you. I mean if you play in auction leagues, you probably spent 20 to 25% of your budget to acquire him. If you took him in redraft, you took him in, with a first round pick. I mean, he's a first round pick in most dynasty startups and super flex. So that tells you the type of ceiling for the archetype of player that Malik Neighbors is. Just set the rookie record for targets and receptions by a wide receiver. So I mean, if you got Malik Neighbors, you're gonna play him. Ben, do you want to just touch on kind of what that injury means? Or can you tell us a little bit more about what his like the toe injury specifically is? Is it just managing turf toe or is it something a little bit more diabolical?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna it's gonna literally take me a second, but from what I remember, it was a toe sprain. Yeah, and that's really what I'm seeing from a lot of the reports here online is really we're dealing with a chronic recurrent toe sprain that essentially he's kind of just putting up with and as you said during his time at LSU, it's going to be something that could it keep him out of games for a couple weeks at a time or will it bring him out of games possibly, but yeah, I mean, I unfortunately this is not one that is going to go away.
Yeah, that's the kind of discouraging part where you're just like, okay, cool. So I'm gonna have to worry. I'm gonna have to worry a lot more than I feel like I would, if I went a different direction, if I went with like a Drake London in that same range or something like that. But
Especially with
yeah,
that matchup today.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
You
it's
had him as your wide receiver one on the week, right?
Drake London. Yes, yes. Light skin Al Gaib, wide receiver one on the week. Real cool. Let's answer this real quick.
Yeah.
Pick 2, MHJ, Ridley, Pearsall, Jacoby, Cup. Currently going MHJ and Pearsall. I like that. I'm rocking
That's the
with.
move. Because
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it might have been the same person asking about MHJ versus Ridley earlier. And it's like
Mhm.
Ridley is facing off against Pat Surtain, PS2, and then you have MHJ who's going against the Saints. I think give me Marvin Harrison.
Yes. I mean, I do think Calvin Ridley's going to be okay today.
Yeah.
I think, just the law of numbers, the law of large numbers, he's probably going to see 8 to 10 targets. And you're just looking for you're probably going to be happy with more of a floor performance than you are, a ceiling outcome. Let's see here. So I feel comfortable leaving it set. Just not missing a trick. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I feel like Pearsall's definitely the second pass catching option behind Kittle this week. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
CMC usually slaughters the Seahawks also, which brings us to our late afternoon slate of games. We've got the 49ers at the Seahawks. Jordan James probably going to be out with a finger injury that he's been dealing with, since camp. And then there's really no notable injuries for the Seahawks. They are currently Jake Bobo and Derek Young are both ruled out. I've been a big Torrey Horton guy. Do you think this could be the coming out party for Torrey Horton today?
I do. I think he's going to lock up the wide receiver 3 slot there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, he plays a completely different role. He can line up as the traditional outside X wide receiver. I loved his skill set. And it's literally just been bang, 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 working out so well for everything for him. And despite being a 5th round pick. Yeah, man.
I want to touch on this though.
Yeah.
This right here about CMC.
Come on.
I think the big part that we're going to expect with Shanahan going forward is, as we've talked about in our Discord and our group chat, load management and using Brian Robinson, what you got him for, to essentially keep CMC for the long haul by reducing a lot of his snaps. And I don't think that means that CMC is going to be, not in the RB1 range, but I think it definitely can keep him out of the RB1 range if they're trying to manage his injury. I do think he's going to be a must start in every week though, if he's healthy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think that there's any question. You're never taking Christian McCaffrey out of your lineup. Like that's the part that I think frustrates people the most is you're never going to take him out of your lineup. It's just one of those things where it's like, hey, we start 10 people. I've got to make I've got to make one other decision as far as running backs go. But, that's a decision that you don't have to make. Luis De La Torre, yeah. Listen, that's the way to play it, man. That's what we were saying.
I traded Jaden Blue straight up for Brian Robinson after I finished the draft. Like this guy took him in the 10th. And then I had to be forced to take Jaden Blue because I was waiting to take Brian Robinson. I was like, hey, let's trade after the draft. Let's make this happen. And that's the best insurance policy.
Yeah. I mean, you're not replicating the production, but you just want to be able to still have a share of that 49ers backfield because it's been so productive for so many years as a shanty back. So we absolutely love to see it. Kenneth Walker is also not on the injury report at all. Been dealing with, obliques, sports hernias, all the things. We did an episode early in the summer. We talked about that. I've kind of come around to the idea of him as an offset shanty back with, Clint Kubiak coming in and them, incorporating a fullback and really wanting to establish it. What's your outlook as far as Kenneth Walker goes this year?
I want to clear the record for the most part because I think if you talk to me long enough, you find out that I just have a hate for Ken Walker because of what he did to my team in college at University of Michigan. As you mentioned on the injury show, it's Michigan all day, but he scored 5 touchdowns against our defense. And Michigan's always had a vaunted defense in college. But Kenneth Walker, you're taking a risk, but at the same time, it's like CMC, man. When he plays, he is a must start in every lineup you have him in because I actually been drafting him in redraft and in dynasty in trying to get some shares because I believe in the league breaking talent that he has.
Yes.
It's been so frustrating because as soon as we were in the one startup together and I drafted Ken Walker and I literally just nicknamed this man literal human trash bag because he was on injury report and I was like, and I didn't get Zach Charbonnet in that league either. So, yeah. But if he's not on the injury report, he is going to be probably a top 5, top 10 running back play on the week.
Yeah. I mean, he's got game breaking elite upside. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the clip where, JSN's being interviewed and they ask him about Ken Walker and he just lights up. He's like, hey, listen, hey, Ken a dog now. And he's one of the most exciting players, and him being from the same hometown as I am. Well, actually just outside. So we're not going to count. He says he's from Memphis though. So I'll rock with it. But yeah, I'm really excited for Ken Walker this year. I just kind of had to throw caution to the wind because I mean, I was in on him and then I was a little bit disappointed these last couple years because he was injured, and then people are rattling off, talking about his efficiency or lack thereof. And brother, he's running behind one of the worst offensive lines in the league. And then Ryan Grubb just doesn't really understand how to run the ball. So I'm excited to see what he does as an offset shanty back, Kubiak back. We'll call him a Kubiak back because the Kubiak backs and the Shanahan backs are first cousins, just like all the Shanahans and Kubiaks at this point. They've been in cahoots for like 30 years, vacationing together. Maybe they went to Epstein. Never mind. We're not gonna do that. My bad. But moving on, we've got Titans at the Packers. There's no notable injuries here. L'Jarius Sneed's probably not gonna play. Super cool that we gave up a 3rd round pick and paid him all that money. Love that for myself. Moving on to Lions at Packers. Your Lions coming in completely healthy after just the onslaught of injuries. It probably derailed what was a Super Bowl caliber season. I apologize for saying that out loud. I didn't mean to cause you any pain. But the good news is
a different kind of pain. We
What'd you
experienced
say?
a different kind of pain for a long time, Chev. Winning is a
That's
different
true.
kind of pain.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Like the disappointment coupled with expectation is what I was alluding to. Hey,
Yeah.
and you tell me if you got to get out of here.
No, man. I mean, my wife and kids we're good to keep going for a while.
Sweet, 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 sweet. So we're on the Packers side of this. We got Jaden Reed playing through the Jones fracture. Like I saw, I can't read. I don't know if it was Jeff Mueller or Jeff Miller. I don't know how to pronounce it, but
Mueller.
one of your fellow DPTs was talking about the list of guys who have had a Jones fracture that he's aware of that all just opted for season-ending surgery, and now Jaden Reed is going to attempt to play through this.
Yeah.
So just kind of let the people know, educate us on what the Jones fracture is and how how that could affect him, throughout the season and what that should mean expectation wise from a fantasy perspective.
So I don't have to show you my feet. This is not an OnlyFans. I am going to show you my hand and exactly where Jaden Reed fractured his foot. Right. So the fifth metatarsal is basically the last bone along the side of your foot, and likely somehow came down on it, fractured. And you're right. The majority of people who have this injury, it is a surgery indicative injury that happens, and it's very rare that we even see a player try to play on it, play through it. I also think the timeline of the recovery is not great because we saw him in a boot around August 9th, and we
Right.
don't really exactly know when he would have injured it before then. So we have to almost speculate it would have only been about around a month now. And, we're talking about healing timelines for bone. 6 to 8 weeks is the minimum, as a rehab specialist that it takes to expect that a bony callus is starting to form.
Mm.
So I'm not feeling confident about Jaden Reed. Like, he was limited in practice. So if he's going to play, like, I could see this possibly being something that just he ends up on the sideline halfway through the game, and then we're talking he's out for a couple weeks, potentially even considering surgery at that point. So I'm keeping that in the back of my mind. I did draft some of him in the offseason, and I'm not feeling great about it. But I do have other plans on my bench to throw in there in case.
Same. I'm listen. I am fucking terrified. I think Jaden Reed's one of the most efficient players on a per touch basis, fantasy wise. But it seems like the Packers are trying to save him from himself usage wise because he's dinged up, he's missing some time. He's a limited usage player, but he's awesome every single time that you feature him.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a Debbie Downer as far as like his long-term outlook, because I mean you can't fade the track record. I mean, maybe he's Herculean, however you want to say that, and like he just gets shot up with Toradol and he can't feel it and his foot swells up to the size of somebody's going to have to get it cut off because of diabetes, and then by Wednesday or Thursday of next week he's fine again. But I'm
See,
not
Chef,
going to.
I think it's interesting because actually, a man that played for your Titans, Derrick Henry,
Yeah.
had a foot fracture
Mhm.
during his time for Tennessee. I expect that man to be okay or doing pretty close to okay with that. Jaden
Mhm.
Reed is a different build. I don't know that, and just different injury too. So
Yeah.
I'm not feeling confident about it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't feel comfortable when there's no known player to play through a Jones fracture. Like there's just there's no data set. And I mean, if he comes
And
out and
every time it has ended up in surgery.
yes.
I have not
Yeah.
seen a Jones fracture successfully end up through non-surgical options.
Right. So yeah, this is, if you drafted Jaden Reed, apologies to you. We're not saying that you couldn't be right. It's just not a tasty burger to want to go into week one with. Let's answer this question real quick. I'll let you go first because everybody, I think if you know me well enough, you know what my answer is today.
I'm gonna be siding with you here because I know what your answer is. I think the chat's saying it perfectly. I mean, Purdy is gonna give you a safe floor. I just think right now Penix against that Tampa Bay defense is gonna light it up, and especially if you have him in a stack with Drake London, your team is gonna be looking real pretty today.
Yeah. I mean, this is if I made Drake London my fucking wide receiver 1 on the week, there's no way that I'm going to disrespect Captain Durag and not have him in every single one of my lineups come week 1. I have been talking this shit for so long about how good I think Michael Penix is. And there are people out there like, no, I don't know. Maybe, I mean, he only threw 3 touchdowns in 3 games. And blah, blah, blah. Well, he should have had more. But Kyle Pitts got a case of the Dontavian Wicks, Megan Fox thumbs. Look that up if you're not familiar. We'll have Ben elaborate more on what the Megan Fox thumbs mean for catching footballs, but he was better, even better than what the box scorers stated. They were second in pace of play. This game is a game that that Vegas thinks is going to shoot out. Like I said, 49 point over on Profit X. If you haven't gone and downloaded the Profit X app, do so in the Google Play Store and the App Store. And I can't tell you how excited I am to have as many options as humanly possible. So if you've listened to anything that I've said on this channel, over the course of the last 6 months or, whatever, like I've been pretty consistent that I think Bijan is going to be the RB1 overall this year. And then in this environment with a 49 point over under with a team that is pushing, Michael Penix pushed the ball down the field at a ridiculous rate. His hero throw rate in week 16 to 18 was 8%, which would have been 1 full percent better than Josh Allen if that were extrapolated over a full season. Now, do we think that holds? I don't know, but Michael Penix is not afraid to force the ball into tight windows, and he hyper targets Drake London. And usually when you give Drake London an absurd amount of targets, really good things happen for your fantasy team. Ergo, really good things are going to happen for Michael Penix. So I'm firmly on the Michael Penix side. We are inserting the Penix in week 1.
I want to shout out Dustin actually in the chat who mentioned on the Debbie Dojo, I believe, that, the head coach for Alabama, I'm forgetting his name at the moment.
Kalen DeBoer.
Yes. Kalen DeBoer had Michael Penix at Washington, and it has not looked great at Alabama right now with Simpson. Just goes to show how much Penix really pumps up an offense.
Yeah, dude. Think about it. Okay. So you had, Roma Dunze, who I still think is awesome. But then you had Jalen Polk, who stepped into a feature role because Jalen McMillan got injured. And what have those guys? I mean, Jalen McMillan looked pretty good in the NFL, but Jalen Polk looked like Jalen Polk is unemployed right now. So, like, we're talking about a guy who's a second round pick solely because of Michael Penix's left arm. And now you're seeing a guy who got a head coaching job off the back of Michael Penix. Like, tell me the last time that Washington, outside of the late 90s or excuse me, early 90s, that Washington was this relevant from a football perspective. And I mean, it just like they were playing at Holiday Bowls and stuff, but we're talking about the college football playoff, like a national championship. The last time that they were that relevant. So I think Michael Penix is awesome. I mean, I think he's 99 throw power, with Tua level accuracy, on the short and intermediate throws. And I think with a full off season, he's going to really shock some people with how accurate and how good this offense is going to be with a guy who can execute fully and access all areas of the field with his throwing prowess. But we went off on that tangent here. We got a couple more games that I want to get to. Well, I didn't talk about the last couple Packers guys that are injured. Dontavian Wicks, noted Megan Fox thumb enthusiast, so much so that his hands, when he puts them in gloves, turn into a glove full of Megan Fox thumbs. He is questionable with a calf. We'll find out if he's active today. I don't really have he's been dealing with this since training camp, so I don't have a ton of expectations for Dontavian Wicks. It's getting crowded. It's getting crowded over there. And I mean, they featured him and it hasn't amounted to anything from a fantasy perspective. So it's kind of like, meh, whatever. And then Michael Parsons is limited with a back injury. Do you want to speak on that? Because I think a healthy Michael Parsons does kind of change the outlook, defensively for the Packers.
He's going to play on a snap count from what I've seen. It's obviously I'm paying close attention to it because my team is playing him. It depends on where he ends up getting lined up, because obviously to me, if he ends up getting lined up against Sewell, I think he can handle himself pretty well on the offensive line there. But I do think the snap count definitely hinders a little bit of Parsons' production on the defensive side. But yeah, I mean, he's going to be a monster anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's just the nature of the beast, man. Like I want to see that battle between those two elite tackles. Your Taylor Decker and the $200 million man in Penei Sewell. I think he got 200 million, didn't he?
I think he's what, highest paid? Let me see here.
Yeah, he's like one of the highest paid non-quarterbacks in NFL history, and he's a right tackle. Even
He
though I
deserves
mean,
it.
he probably could play left.
112 million.
112 million. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That
Which
is
the Lions
absolutely.
signed him at the right time, because had they waited, it probably would have been 200 million.
Yeah, I
They were
mean,
really good about signing. Which, let's talk about this. Jameson Williams getting the bag. Don't want to get too much off on a tangent, but
no. I mean, we can do whatever we want. It can be anything.
I
It
got
can be a
time.
boat. So, no, man, super excited for Jameson Williams. That was my bring home the bacon player. I said that shit in like mid-July. I was like, I think this is it. I won't be moved. You've
It's
got your
solidified.
OC. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it's solidified. I mean, what
Yeah,
I sent you guys the contracts in the group chat last night. He's getting paid just a little bit over what DJ Moore is making, which is still
a
great money.
fantastic deal.
27.5
Yes.
million, I think.
Yeah, fantastic deal for an ascending talent, a guy that I don't want to say, the connotation around the word groomed is really weird these days, but a guy that grew up in that organization and really learned how to play football the right way. And it's, the Detroit Lions culture of being selfish, but selfless in trying to help the team succeed. The thing that changed the tone, I always tell people, the moment that I knew that JMO was going to be all right was not a play, one of the 50-yard touchdowns that he played, that he had. He had the most 50-yard catches in the league. Everybody else on that list had at least 130 or 140 targets. And, he's out there with like 90, and he's got the most 50-yard catches in the league. So the play that changed my opinion was he was downfield blocking for David Montgomery against the Chargers. And I mean, he was blocking his ass off on a long, like a 70-yard touchdown run.
Deck the
And then
dude.
Dan Campbell like highlighted that in the press conference. And from that moment forward, JMO has been like, they've literally just started installing him into the offense. He wasn't even a full-time player at that point. But we get to this point last year where he does get a full route share. He's still only 37th in routes run amongst wide receivers, but he gets a full route share and he goes over 1,000 yards on 90 targets. So this is like the 99 overall version of Will Fuller or a poor man's Tyreek Hill. That's what I see when I see Jameson Williams play football. Am I like, do you think I'm crazy? Obviously, you're a Lions fan, so like hearing all this JMO propaganda is probably music to your ears. But do
I
you
was
think, yeah,
I had a Jameson Williams jersey in my cart, like ready to just hit purchase. And I was like, no, I gotta have some resolve. Like I can't just be blowing all my money, man. But what I will say is, like, even Chris mentioned in the group chat last night, like, he's only 24 years old. He's going to
right?
finish out this 3-year contract, and he's going to be 27 and still be able to get another bag at some point in his career.
Yes.
The way they were using him in the offense last year, they were throwing him all around. I mean, they were giving him design plays out of the backfield to be able to score 60-yard touchdowns. And this guy is so dynamic. And I think you've even said it before. He's even more of a dynamic player than Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, but like Jahmyr Gibbs is gonna give you a ridiculous return on investment just because he's a guy that the thing that makes this Lions offense so dynamic, and I hate talking so good about somebody else's team as one of my friends, but the thing that's so crazy about this Lions offense to me is that you have two truly game breaking talents in Jahmyr Gibbs and Jameson Williams, who could literally just end a drive on one play. And then you have guys that are, just elite, steady. Hey, I'm going to do the right thing every single time in David Montgomery, and, solidified veterans in David Montgomery and Amon-Ra St. Brown, who kind of seems like the forgotten man, but he's we've gotten tired of him. There's some Amon-Ra fatigue for sure. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think he doesn't help the point by like reminding you that it's like I had 16 players ahead of me that were drafted ahead of me in the 2021 draft. But I mean, it's because he's so solid. He ends up
Yeah,
a wide receiver 3 or better for the last 2 to 3 seasons. And
yeah.
so, yeah, I mean, you're seeing him up there every time, and it's a guarantee just because he is that PPR hog for Jared Goff.
Yeah, I mean, he's in any PPR format, he's going to be an absolute nuke just because he's going to get, around 9 targets a game. I mean, we had the one season where he was almost 10 targets a game, 164 targets. So, and I mean, I think he led the league in throws into the end zone that resulted in a touchdown. Targets in the end zone that resulted in a touchdown. So for a guy like that, it's just, I mean, he's scoring double-digit touchdowns. He's getting 140 targets. He's getting you over 100 receptions. He's getting between 12 and 1,400 yards. Like, what else can you ask for from a number one wide receiver? And make no mistake about it, even if the target Jameson Williams does get more targets, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a solid pick as far as, building a roster around a guy
Absolutely.
who's going to, I mean, currently I think I have him as my wide receiver 7 or 8, but
I
he's
think
almost
that's healthy.
certainly, yeah. Yeah.
Because to me, I do see his ceiling dropping a little bit with JMO getting more of a featured role, but he's still a wide receiver 1.
Yes, firmly. I mean, if he takes the reason I ranked him the way that I did preseason is because even like I think he takes a step back, and you've heard me say it time and time again. I think that they're both going to be top 12 wide receivers. Like Amon-Ra is closer to 5 than he is 12, but JMO is probably in that 12 to 15 range, in my opinion, this year. Like he's going to take that level of step forward. But we still got games to get to. My bad. Why are we talking about the Lions so much? This is gross. I hate it here.
It's my fault, man.
Disgusting. No, I'm kidding. I mean, we got to talk more about the Lions, so we can't talk about the fucking Titans. That's for sure. Moving on. Texans at Rams. No notable injuries for the Rams. The Texans, Braxton Berrios and Christian Kirk are both out. Christian Kirk with the hamstring injury that he picked up. Braxton Berrios, I don't have an injury designation for him, but who cares because it's not relevant for fantasy anyway. The relevant parties here, and we can spend a little bit of time here. I'm probably going to hop off in a few minutes because I got to go set. I got a bunch of lineups that I need to make sure are set, but I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about what's your outlook today for the rookies, Jaden and Jalen, Noel and Higgins, respectively, for the Texans?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at the receivers that they have with Christian Kirk out, the receiver that slots right in is a very similar role as Jalen Noel, and I think that he's very much somebody who probably was slept on a lot through a lot of drafts just because Jaden Higgins is looks to be more of like the 2. But I think when you're looking at the role side of things, I think he's going to step in as kind of that wide receiver 3. And actually Austin and I, who my co-host on the Dynasty Gambit, and I co-own a league where we had to make the decision between Xavier Legette and Jaden Higgins. And it was really, really tough to make because I think both of them are going to end up being the second targeted player on their team, right? Nico Collins on the Texans, and of course, Ted McMillan on the Panthers. But I think that's where I kind of sit with Higgins. It's somebody I want to have probably, again, just like I said with Travis Hunter, sitting on my bench, seeing how it plays out. You drafted him most likely to be a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 on your team. So probably more slow, like wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 in redraft. I'm going to let him sit on my bench and see what happens, but I'm excited to see what happens there because I think that the skill set of Jaden Higgins is very similar to Nico Collins, and I think he's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I've been real loud for a long time about how I felt about Jaden Higgins and how I think he gets miscast as just a big guy who's a contested catch guy, but he does sink very well. Great ankle flexibility, getting in and out of his breaks for somebody who's 215 pounds. So I'm in the same boat. I picked him up. I mean, he's a late round pick, kind of an afterthought in redraft, but the path, much a lot like Emeka Ibuka, is getting much more clear by the day. Him, Elike Manor, Dante Thornton, all these guys are guys that you can throw on the end of your bench, and they're easily cuttable if they don't give you any sort of production going into week one. I mean, after week one, going into week two, because I mean we're gonna have some ridiculous performances. We've already gotten one crazy outlier performance on Friday night against the Chiefs with Quentin Johnston doing his best Sammy Watkins impersonation and just crushing it week one. So now you're gonna have people going out and spending 65% of their fab because the I told you so Quentin Johnston truthers are back out and they've taken their burlap sacks off their head and now they're just loud and proud again. So we'll see how that shakes out. But need two wide receivers and one flex. Cortland Sutton, Nico Collins, Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Harrison, Tony Pollard, J.K. Dobbins. Okay, so for me, if this is PPR, I'm just gonna. I mean, if it's full PPR, like Sutton and Nico are locked in the lineup, and we're just deciding between the two running backs. I can scoot those guys kind of off. Jerry Jeudy and Marvin Harrison.
Marv.
So I lean Marv. I think that that Jerry the environment in the Bengals Browns game should be good, but I lean Marv just because I unfortunately I still trust Kyler Murray more than I do Joe Flacco.
Yeah, same here. I just trust the talent of that as well as the talent of Marvin Harrison over Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah. That's pretty succinct. You hit the nail on the head. Let's see here. Watkins was an actual elite pro. Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely true. Johnson was a developmental guy who looks like he's developed a bit. Now, I do want to speak on the voodoo, like the mental positive propaganda voodoo machine that Jim Harbaugh has built every fucking where that he's gone. I don't understand this. He's got Justin Herbert out here, just pulling Madison Beers, and now he's just the most insanely aura-ridden quarterback in the entire, Sigma male sphere. Or I don't know. I'm using brain rot terms on purpose right now because my kids have started throwing them at me, and so I've been trolling them with them, and that just slipped out. I don't even know. I blacked out for a second, but the Jim Harbaugh propaganda machine is phenomenal. Like I said, one, we didn't have any expectations for the Chargers to be a playoff team last year. They were a playoff team. Yeah, they got stomped, but whatever. But he's just constantly, putting the power of belief into guys. And Quentin Johnston might be real. I don't think it is. I think he's going to have spike weeks. I think the only roster that I want to roster him in is, a best ball league so that you can take advantage of performances like that. But at the same time, like if it is real, and we've got to adjust our priors on Justin Herbert pretty quickly.
He's become such an efficient quarterback under Jim Harbaugh. And just, I think people were worried about like the ceiling of what it could be, but what I see is a guy who doesn't really turn the ball over. He's smart with keeping the ball, making sure that he's not throwing any haymakers to the defense. But then he's also using his legs now. And I think that's a part that we saw at Oregon, but we didn't really see much at the pro level. And I think we were talking about it in the group chat. It was probably his best pro game.
Yes. There's one other game against the Chiefs from like 2 years ago where they were playing a few hours from me over in Kansas City, and he was absolutely like him and Mahomes were duking it out. And of course, the Chargers, again, you have a team that wins a bunch of games they shouldn't win, and you have a team that loses games that they should win. So the Chargers lost, but he was phenomenal. But this is, like you said, this is the best that I've seen him look as a pro, consistently, confidence-wise. And again, Jim Harbaugh is just preaching the power of belief. Like, hey, I feel the need to get better at my job every day because of how good Justin Herbert is. Like hearing your coach tell you that shit over and over. And it's not just him, it's everybody. now they do have a star-studded coaching staff. They're going to lose their DC. Sorry, Chargers fans. They're going to lose their DC, as a head coaching hire here pretty soon. They got the number one scoring defense. So really love what Jim Harbaugh has rebuilt over there.
Can I have a page in the Book of Secrets, Chev?
Absolutely.
Our show is a lot about dynasty game theory, and right now, and we're probably going to talk about this on our show next week. But the player to really, really dig into is Omarion Hampton, and really buying the panic that is setting in the dynasty community right now, because there is no way that he's going to continue to look that average. It wasn't Omarion Hampton. Right. So if you need to go out there and buy him, because we know that the price is down right now to some of these casual fans. There it is, Dustin, with the week one panic is wild. Absolutely. Go and get Omarion Hampton.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Like, without question, that was my solidified RB2. Some people were frying me because they were like, Travion should be the RB2. And Travion's awesome. But Omarion Hampton represents the old school hammer, the guy that you can just turn around, put the ball in his gut, and he's gonna just hammer you over and over again. He's not the most creative guy, but he's got home run hitting ability, and he can, he's an elite pass catcher. I won't say elite because he's not like CMC or Jahmyr Gibbs level elite, but he is a very, very good pass catcher. And I think that this is going to be, coming out and handling 80% of the backfield touches and, representing himself the way he did against the Chiefs defense that we know is elite. And he was finishing runs. Like, that's a very physical defense. He was able to finish runs consistently. So there's better days ahead. Hell, we've only got to look to week 2 and we're, they get the Raiders. Now, are the Raiders going to be better? Probably, but are they going to be better than Chargers and able to deal with, what the Chargers have going on in the trenches? Probably not. So, yes, I think that is a very astute point. I'm with you 1000%. Our brand here is just preaching patience. Like, you've got to be a thermostat, not a thermometer, when it comes to outlook, long-term outlooks on a player based on very limited information. And we're not going to be super staunch. We're going to adapt to the information, and that's how you get better as a player. No cap, Mac. How we doing, boys? Man, any day on this side of the dirt's a good one. No cap, Mac. We got fucking American tackle football in 20 minutes or 18 minutes now, and I could not be more excited about it, brother. 6-point passing touchdown league. Oh God, this is gross.
I know.
Oh,
I really don't want to have to choose one or the other.
Like
you have Kyler against the Saints defense.
Exactly.
Then you have May against the Raiders. As much as it pains me, I think I might have to go Kyler there.
6-point passing touchdown.
Like, even with the 6 points that you're getting for pass TD, I think Kyler's going to still make up for it with his legs.
Yeah. We're going May. We're going.
Okay.
We're going.
Excuse me. Per carry.
I apologize. My bad. I got too excited. I was going to say something about Drake May. We're going Kyler here just this week. But if he burns me, I'm sending his ass to waivers, and I'm never picking up again. Never, ever. Kyler is as close to Jalen Waddle to being on the fucking banned list as it could possibly get. And I know that he's awesome for fantasy sometimes, but it's just the most frustrating ride ever. So, yeah. What up, Pete? Pete, we got American tackle football today, and in a couple hours, them Titans are going to put belt to ass to the Broncos. You hear me? Kyler has illness, though. Yeah, the illness is that, Call of Duty came out or something. I don't know.
We've got a couple good weeks of Kyler before that comes out.
Yeah. I'm going to, with that information, I wanted to go Drake May anyway. I'm going to go Drake May.
Okay.
I'm going to go Drake May. Even though that's the, I don't love it. It does not make me feel good. It does not spark joy right now. But I'm, if I went with Drake May as to bring home the bacon player, I can't bench him week 1 in a soft matchup, regardless of the weather. I can't do it. I think we both went Drake May. No, you went Herbert.
Oh,
You
I
went
went
Herbert.
Kyler. But
I
ask me
meant
like
your
20
bring
minutes
home
from
the
now, and
bacon
I think I
player.
could go Drake May.
Say that again.
I said, ask me 20 minutes from now, and it could be Drake May. But the problem
Yeah,
is, you have to
yeah,
make that decision in 15 minutes.
yeah. I think I was saying that you went with Herbo as your bring home the bacon quarterback.
Oh,
Your slot.
yes. Yes.
Mwah. We're gonna get those. We're gonna get those
The 11th
snippets. We're gonna
round.
get those snippets out of everybody's bring home the bacon players. I just want to have. I want to have that, um, and put it on my put it on the Twitter X for everybody to see and fantasy receipts to clip and make fun of me about. So, yeah, Calvin Ridley or Olave. I'm
Ridley.
going. I'm going Ridley. Yeah. I'm going Ridley. I mean, I trust Cam Ward more than I trust either one of the quarterbacks that'll probably end up playing today for the Saints if it goes poorly. So yeah, I gotta go. I've got to go with Ridley. I mean, again, we're basing this on what could be more of a floor outcome. But Calvin Ridley is one of the best deep threats in the game in terms of receptions of 20 plus yards. So I think that he could have a big day if he, busted coverage or something like that. I mean, Patrick Surtain does, put his pants on one leg at a time, just like the rest of us. So anybody can get got, but he gets his more than he gets got, though. Shout out to Marshawn Lynch. Oh, we've still got one more game to get to, or two more
I think
games.
2, but we can make it quick, though. I really don't think that we need a lot of time with this.
Yeah, no. Just tell us about what the return of performance looks like for Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, so I'll keep this brief. Isaiah Likely head fractured, a toe back. I mean, I want to say it was basically a month ago, and the expected timeline is that they didn't put him on the PUP or the IR, so they expect that he's going to be back week 2 or week 3, and he's for sure out this game, but I do think that he ended up having an ORIF, which is basically placing a rod or pin through the toe to essentially stabilize it. Should be fine. It shouldn't be any concern on his performance. But I think he's going to be ready to go week 2 or week 3.
Sweet. Okay, perfect. And then there's no real notable injuries in the Monday night game. You got Roshan Johnson, who we don't even know if Ben Johnson knows that he fucking exists. So, let's not. And then Jalen Johnson, corner, number one corner for the Bears, potentially could be out with a calf groin injury. Currently listed as questionable. Justin Jefferson's not listed on the injury report. He missed most of training camp with a hamstring injury. That pretty much catches us up, man. Ben, let's answer a couple more of these real quick. I've got to go set my lineups in about, I've got a bunch of lineups to set. So we're going to spend these last 10 minutes or so doing that. A Dunze or Bill? I'm going to Dunze, brother.
Yep, same.
Yeah. Dobbins or ETN in the flex full PPR? Give me ETN.
Dobbins.
Ooh.
Yeah.
A little spicy. You think Dobbins comes out and gets most of the touches week 1? Or at least handles like inside the 5 work and has
just week
more
1.
early? Okay. Interesting. Okay. I mean, we're kind of on the I don't mind at all.
Well, I think RJ takes over at least after this week.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. We're either going to get J.K. Dobbins being really annoying, or we're going to get like 2 games and he's going to go to IR and we get a 75% snap share, RJ Harvey, and we never look back. Hoff, what's up, baby? Before we get out of here, I'm going to give you I want to give you an opportunity to tell everybody where they can find your work, and then we'll give one of the keys to generational wealth today as far as our bets go.
Okay, so Ben McCown, PTDPT. You can find me on X at Dynasty Big Mac FF. And I also run my show about Dynasty Game Theory with my co-host Austin Jacobson. We try to post bi-weekly, but next week we're going to be recording regarding week 1 reactions and how in Dynasty you should take advantage of some of the reactions from week 1. You can also join our free Discord. Obviously, we post our episodes on YouTube. We also have an active TikTok, but we're really active in the Discord, and that's really where Chev, a lot of the other fantasy football ball knowers do a lot of their work and helping a lot of our members. So feel free to reach out to me. I can get you connected with all of our social media, including our Discord, our free Discord. But yeah, it's been fun, man.
Man, dude, I've been excited ever since we got all this together. I've been really excited about doing this. I even text you last night like, hey, this is really exciting. This is gonna be really fun. So before we get out of here, I'm gonna give you the Profit X play of the day. We're gonna go with over 49 in the Falcons. But oh, wait, we got it bet down to 47.5. Let's go. Over 47.5. Bucks Falcons. I love this game. It's shootout potential. It shot out both games last year that they played in Tampa and in Atlanta. They're in a dome today, so no weather. And Tampa's missing a bunch of their corners. So yeah. But I'll leave you guys with this, and good luck this year, everybody. There's ball watchers and there's ball knowers, and there's guys that know everything that there is to know about injuries, and that's Ben. So join us next week. We'll do start sits and injury reports again. Until next time, peace.